Gene Hackman's death sent shockwaves through the world, but the eerie silence that followed was far more unsettling than any horror film could capture. There were no screams, no signs of struggle, no witnesses, except for 3 dogs, Bear, Nikita, and Zena. They couldn't speak, but they understood fear. Fear echoed in their labored breaths, in the sudden starts during the night, in the mournful howls that pierced the silence. Bear and Nikita survived, but their eyes, forever changed, carried the weight of something dark. The police searched for clues, but the most telling evidence remained hidden, locked away in the memories of those silent witnesses. They saw it, they heard it, they smelled death. In the hallway of the home where Hackman and Betsy Arakawa met their tragic end, 2 shadows stood, Bear and Nikita. One was ash gray, the other jet black. These 2 survivors were the only ones left to bear witness to an event no one could fully comprehend. When the police arrived, the dogs were huddled together, their eyes reflecting the strobe of flashlight beams. They didn't bark, they didn't growl. It was a silence unlike any other, a profound understanding that their beloved companions were gone. Bear, ever loyal to Hackman, had followed him from room to room, a silent guardian. Even as his health declined, Bear stayed by his side. But was Bear the only one who truly knew what happened that night? Nikita, younger and more active, had been adopted by Betsy after Hackman's stroke. She became the bridge between them, an energetic companion for Hackman and a lively friend to Betsy. Yet, the darkness lurking behind Nikita's dark eyes seemed to hide something, the mystery of what she witnessed that night, something that would never be fully revealed. When animal rescuers arrived to retrieve the dogs, they noticed something strange. Despite being deeply attached to their owners, Bear and Nikita didn't react to the unfamiliar presence. They didn't bark or growl. There were no signs of struggle, no bite marks. The dogs sat still, as if paralyzed by the horror they had just experienced. Experts concluded that Bear and Nikita weren't simply scared. They were grieving, their silent mourning a testament to the loss they had endured. How did they know? Could Bear have sensed the danger before it even arrived? Hackman had once written to a friend, remarking that Bear always knew when something was wrong, often before Hackman did. Could Bear's brown eyes have witnessed something the investigators could never uncover? As silent witnesses to the tragedy, Bear and Nikita might hold the key to the final, elusive truth about Hackman's death. Zena, though, was more than just a dog to Betsy Arakawa. She was her soulmate. Hackman had joked that Zena was Betsy's true companion, even though he was her husband. Zena was always by Betsy's side, whether in the garden or curled up at her feet. But when the investigation team entered the Santa Fe villa, they discovered a chilling sight. Zena's lifeless body, crammed into a tiny kennel and shoved into the darkest corner of the bathroom closet. This wasn't where Zena slept. Betsy always placed her bed at her feet, not hidden away in a forgotten corner. Why was Zena placed there? The mystery deepened. Was she the first to witness the horror that night? Did she die with the secrets that no one else would ever uncover? Zena's death was as sudden as it was mysterious. Her eyes, wide and clouded, held an expression that resembled horror. Though the autopsy found no clear signs of injury, the circumstances surrounding her death remained unsettling. Zena's heart simply stopped. But how could this vibrant, energetic dog, known for her strength, loyalty, and liveliness, die so unexpectedly right next to Betsy in that dark, isolated corner of the house? The answer may lie in Zena's final moments, moments that only she truly knew. Mrs. Mary Keller, the neighbor, recalled seeing Betsy brushing Zena's fur on the porch around 7 p.m., just hours before the dog's death. The pair appeared calm and peaceful, a picture of serenity. Zena had been Betsy's companion since puppyhood, but now she lay lifeless beside her. A seemingly minor detail that had almost been overlooked during the investigation caught the attention of one sharp observer, a faint scratch on the bathroom closet door, as though Zena had desperately tried to claw her way out. But why would Betsy, who loved Zena as a child, lock her away in such a space? Who or what confined Zena there? A few weeks before the incident, Gene Hackman had written to an old friend, Noting Zena's odd behavior, she's been following Betsy everywhere, even into the bathroom. It's like she knows something's wrong. What could have made Zena so anxious? Did she sense danger? Or had she witnessed something too terrifying to comprehend? A dog trained to protect a dog as perceptive as Zena, why would she stay silent, unable to alert her owners to the looming threat? Another curious detail emerged. The initial report misidentified Zena as a mere brown shepherd, neglecting to recognize her as Zena, the Kelpie mix, who had been by Betsy's side for nearly a decade. This seemingly minor mistake raised suspicions. Zena was not just any dog, she shared an extraordinary bond with both Jean and Betsy. And she was the only one to die in the house that day. Bear and Nikita, the other two dogs, survived the ordeal without issue, despite being in the same house at the same time. Zena wasn't just a pet, she was Jean's protector. He had once remarked, "A good dog reads the room better than any man." Zena, according to friends, could sense even the slightest shift in the atmosphere of the household. But the misidentification of Zena was more than a simple oversight. It derailed the investigation. With no full autopsy, no tissue samples, and no toxicology tests, Zena's body was neglected, leaving a gaping hole in the case. Zena's unexpected death raised even more unsettling questions. Why did she die when Bear and Nikita survived without harm? The investigators found that the other two dogs remained calm when the forensic team arrived, showing no signs of distress. But Zena, the most sensitive of them all, quietly passed away beside her beloved owner. Some believe she succumbed to overwhelming fear, an intense terror that stopped her heart. Others speculate that Zena witnessed something so horrifying that she couldn't bear to live with it. Animal behaviorists often claim that dogs possess an extraordinary sense of intuition, able to detect danger before it even materializes. But Zena didn't bark. She didn't resist. She stayed close to Betsy, despite whatever threat lingered in the shadows of the house. Could it be that the danger was so familiar to Zena that she couldn't differentiate between friend and foe? Meanwhile, Bear and Nikita, the surviving witnesses, became pivotal to the investigation. When the police entered the house, they found the two dogs huddled together in silence. No barking, no growling, just an eerie stillness that seemed to speak volume. It was as if they knew something the investigators couldn't yet comprehend. Bear and Nikita were familiar with the household's inhabitant, so if a third party had been involved, it was likely someone they knew. The lack of reaction from the dogs, no fear, no aggression, was unsettling. What did it mean? Were they trained not to react? Or had they recognized the person responsible for the tragedy? The behavior of Bear and Nikita raised troubling questions. For example, Bear once growled when a maintenance worker walked through the backyard, someone who had been in the Hackman home the previous year. Nikita, on the other hand, had an unusual response to men in hats. Her heart rate would spike, indicating a deep-rooted trauma linked to that specific image. It was as though the dogs were carrying memories, unspoken yet undeniably present in their behavior. Zena, once Betsy's loyal companion, had begun acting oddly months before the tragedy. Joey Padilla, who worked at Santa Fe Tales, recalled how Zena would growl and tense up whenever certain familiar faces arrived, people who had visited the Hackman home regularly. This defensive behavior suggested Zena had witnessed something disturbing, something that left an indelible mark on her. Betsy had also mentioned that Zena barked uncontrollably on moonless nights, as if trying to warn her of some impending danger. Was Zena trying to tell her something before it was too late? Did she sense what was coming and was trying to protect Betsy? The theory that Zena's death was not from natural causes was never properly investigated. No one examined her body for signs of poisoning or trauma. But Joey Padilla believed Zena had witnessed something so horrifying that it shattered her, something she couldn't live with. While the investigation focused on human witnesses, it was the animals that seemed to hold the key to the truth. Bear and Nikita, despite their silence, carried memories that could unlock what really happened that night. The idea of memory induction therapy was even proposed, suggesting that revisiting familiar faces and places could help the dogs recall the traumatic events. Every glance, every nervous movement could offer a crucial piece of the puzzle. Zena's death wasn't just the loss of a beloved pet. It was a crucial clue in unraveling the mystery of that fateful night. The dogs remembered everything, even if they couldn't speak it. Zena's passing, Bear's growls, and Nikita's anxious stares all pointed to something far deeper, something hidden within the house, something the animals knew, but no one else did. The truth may never fully come to light, but with every anxious glance from Bear and Nikita, and every subtle trace left behind by Zena, the true story could still emerge.